Alright, I think we're good to go now. We good to go? You guys hear me? Sorry about that. Had to switch locations because I was in a part of the house that typically doesn't do so well with live streams. I think just the internet doesn't quite reach that well at that part of the house, so here we are. We'll see if we can get going on this finally. Let me know if you guys can hear me. I assume you can. Get going on this finally. All right, I think we're back in business. All right, well, I'm just going to continue on. Sorry about that. Hopefully it's working now, but if it's not, I guess I'll just talk to myself. So, all right, anyways, we were essentially talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum, looking at the fact that Bitcoin bears have come to town today, but we'll see what happens, right? We'll see if it continues to Let me know if you guys can hear me or if I'm just talking to myself again. All right, we're good. Okay, so again, the thing to look out for, right, with Ethereum is can it hold this level? And right, if Bitcoin just stays at 11.3, Ethereum will likely hold it again and then start moving back up. It's kind of interesting because we don't have a whole lot of viewers. I think that I made it public, but maybe it's just not showing up. But anyways, so what we're looking for, right, is if Ethereum can start moving up again, if Bitcoin can hold this level for a few days, right? That's basically what happened last time. I think that it's not, because when I started it as private because I wanted to check it out. So I'm wondering if it's even showing it in YouTube. But whatever. So yeah, I mean, nothing's really changed with Ethereum. If you guys want, I'll go ahead and put on the regression band so you can see it. So here it is. We're still outside of it, technically speaking, of course. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, the YouTube, the way they do the live streams is kind of changed a little bit. You don't even have to create a video for it to start live streaming automatically. So hopefully it's not showing too many videos now. Is it live streaming more than one video? I think the confusion is that it accidentally created like 3 videos. So hopefully it gets worked out. I won't worry about it anymore. Anyways, looking at Ethereum, still 385. So I mean, business as usual. I mean, as long as Bitcoin holds this level, I don't really see. I could see Ethereum moving back up. With ADA, right? We followed ADA. It looks like it came down to the to the 100-day moving average. So it's at least interesting to note from the 50-day. But again, still ADA, ADA seems to have kind of stalled out a bit recently. And one of the things we talked about in the last video, right, was DOT, like Polkadot, and this being one of the ones that we're going to follow this market cycle, but there's just not a whole lot we can say with regards to the price, because just because it hasn't been around that long. So yeah, we'll certainly follow Polkadot. Link, on the other hand, has been, still been slowly moving down. So Link has been kind of moving down here a little bit, and for those of you guys that know, we went into kind of like a bubble, full-on bubble mode here, so coming down a little bit, and I would expect more or less the same, unless things get crazy. Link does tend to move down pretty significantly when it goes into these bubble phases. So just be careful, right? Be careful with Link, because you see that these times before when it's gone into these bubbles, it can bleed like this for a while, right? It can bleed like that for a while. So let me know if you guys have any questions. I already did a whole video basically where I went through all the coins, so let me know if you guys have any questions and I'll try to answer them. Good price to accumulate? I would just say, within the regression bands is a good place to start. For Bitcoin, for Bitcoin, I feel like it's pretty clear that we're still right within the accumulation band. I don't think really much of anything has changed. In fact, the move today, it's hardly noticeable, right? When you zoom out and look at the whole, just the last few years. So, in terms of accumulation, I don't think anything has changed. I think it's generally just, 2019, 2020, and 2021 are accumulation years. Ethereum is outside the accumulation or the regression band for sure. So it depends on what you're using to measure, like how you would want to accumulate it. But if you're going by the regression band, it's already outside of it. If you're going by something else, some other metric, then maybe it's within your risk tolerance. What other questions do we have in the chat? So we're not talking about leverage trading on here. Sure. That's obviously up to you. I think with DOT, as we talked about with DOT, I think it's a combination of a lot of things, right? It's kind of like the new kid on the block. People are just attracted to it because it's new, right? And as we said, we're going to follow it. That's not the only reason people are attracted to it. Of course, it has an entire ecosystem. It's probably going to play a big role this market cycle. But there's going to be a lot of volatility when it first comes out, right? And this isn't that unusual to see a coin. It could have dumped as well. We didn't really know what was going to happen. There's a lot of people that got in on the ICO that were already up, 100 or 10x or something. But despite that, it is still up 88% on the week. Now, remember that when things like this happen and you see the rest of the market down, whenever the rest of the market starts to recover, then I would anticipate then DOT is going to see a correction. So this is what I would expect, because people are probably going to take some of their profits from here back into Bitcoin or back into Ethereum. Someone said a bear trend to fill the CME gap. Yeah, I mean, we talked about that earlier, right? I mean, it's a possibility, but again, if it fills the CME gap, which I don't think needs to be filled, but if it does get filled, then it would need to occur pretty soon, right? If we don't break the 20-week, because the 20-week is going to continue moving up. So if it's given too much room to move up, then the CME gap, in order to fill it, right, we're going to have to drop below the 20-week moving average. And this could be pretty bearish, right, if that were to happen. Someone said, what do you think about a Bitcoin gold pairing? Do you just mean like an actual tradable pairing, or you just mean like looking at Bitcoin with reference to gold? Yeah, DOT is in price discovery. I mean, yeah, someone, BT said that in the chat. I mean, it's true, right? I mean, it's completely in price discovery mode. We don't really know where it's going to go. It could continue on marching up the curve, right, or marching up the ladder, or it could retrace back down, right? There's a lot of volatility. We're going to follow it during the cycle, because I do think it has a role to play. But at the same time, if you're looking to get it, I would just be cautious, right? It doesn't mean, I'm not saying you should DCA, I'm not saying you should not DCA. Whatever you do, just be prepared for a lot of volatility, because it's probably going to be very volatile both ways for the next several weeks, next several months. Someone said, do you think there's any chance Bitcoin breaks below the 20-week or below 10.5? I think that it can break below 10.5 and still remain macro bullish, right? I think this is a possibility. Remember, the 20-week is at 96.52. So 10.5 is, it's all the way up here. So right around, let me zoom in here. So 10.5 is right around there. So I feel like even if we were to drop below 10.5, we could still remain macro bullish if we hold support on the 20-week. So even if we were to come down and touch the 20-week and then continue back on up, I still think we would be fairly bullish. Yeah, we could always have a wick down to fill the gap. That's a possibility. But the point, right, is if you let the 20-week move up for a few more weeks, it's only going to take another week for it to be at 10K. If it continues moving up like this or something, right? It's not going to take that long, maybe a month or two, before it's at 10.5, 11K. So again, if the argument is we have to fill the CME gap, then we either need to go do it now, or, right, I mean, the other possibility is the 20-week goes up, we come down to it, and bounce off with a wick down to the 20-week, or down to the CME gap, I mean. Yeah, Jackson says, could we have your thoughts on DOT? I mean, again, it's really anyone's guess, right? I mean, this whole channel is predicated, right, on the idea that we use data to inform our decisions. But DOT doesn't really have a lot of data, right? I mean, we're looking at the 1 hour chart here. I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, I feel like it could continue going up. It could also come back down. I really don't know. The point is we're going to follow it during the market cycle. and we're going to use whatever's happening now, right, to help inform future decisions. But because we don't really have any more data, all I can say is that it's likely going to be very volatile in both directions, right? It's going to be, we're going to see probably moves up, moves down. If you're wanting to get exposure to that, you could always DCA in. But again, it's very volatile, and it's already up 88% on the week. So just take that into consideration when you're trying to figure out if it's worth the risk, which maybe you think it is, right? What other questions do we have? Stephen Lynn says, what do you think would happen to the crypto market if there's a crash in the stock market? If there's a crash in the stock market, crypto would probably also not fare so well, right? And you have to remember, as we've said before, Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation. It's not a hedge against a recession. During a recession, people tend to liquidate their high-risk assets. So if the stock market crashes, I think that Bitcoin would see a pretty healthy pullback itself. So take this into consideration, right? Don't just think that because Bitcoin was born out of the 2008 financial crisis that it has to perform well if there's a recession. It doesn't, right? It's just a hedge against inflation. Raymond says, if you had to trade your Bitcoin with another token instead of selling it, which token would you trade it to? It depends on the time, right? It depends on what the risk level is. We have the premium list, which has the risk levels on Bitcoin, so it depends on that, right? If there's one that's particularly, low risk, then I'll trade it. If we're just talking about macro or large cap coins, like I certainly wouldn't want to trade it for Link right now. Because it's up significantly against Bitcoin, right? I wouldn't want to do that. DOT is also up significantly. So, you could, I feel like Ethereum might be okay, right? Given the idea that if Bitcoin holds 11.3 for a few days, then Ethereum might regain some bullishness and move back above $400, and thus continuously move up the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio. Right? This is a possibility. So, if you're looking to manage your risk, right, Ethereum would be one. If you're just trying to safeguard against another crash, then a stable coin, right? A stable coin. Someone said, are you watching small market cap coins on Uniswap? Yeah, I hold some small market cap coins. I don't want to shill them on this channel because I don't want this channel to become about shilling microcaps and kind of all the drama that comes with that, and then the trust, right, from the person shilling it to the people that are then hearing that person shill it. It just sounds like a nightmare to even navigate that. So we're not going to be talking about microcaps on the channel. If there's a coin with such little volume that me talking about it could move the price, then I'm not going to talk about it. And if you are looking for that kind of content, believe me, there are plenty of other people out there that are providing that content. Do we have any other questions? Yeah, this Link Bitcoin move was just insane, right? We followed this pretty closely. It was pretty insane. So, for me, it seems like, again, as we said a few days ago, when the price was even higher than it is now, I would tend to think that the path of least resistance is generally down, right? Is generally down. Of course, we might go up in the short term, Maybe Link makes a fool of all of us, or the people that sold anyways, and continues going back up. But again, it's all a form of risk management and saying, you know what, we're up 5 to 10x in a short period of time. Taking profits is a good thing, right? Taking profits is a good thing, and kind of gives you the chance to live to fight another day, right? You made a good investment. You took the profits. Now you have 5 times your investment. So then when you go to make another investment, you have more cash that you can use. Yeah, ADA has been relatively quiet recently. If you guys follow the channel, when we were talking about ADA all the way down here at 2 cents, at 3 cents, at 4 cents, we said, I told you guys, right, when it gets above 10 cents, I'm generally going to be done buying it, at least in the short term. So my last buy of ADA was below 10 cents, and I have not touched it since then. The only thing I did do, right, was I sold some of it right around here to Ether at 235, and then Ether went on a run. But I only sold a small amount. I only sold 1/15 of my position according to the dynamic DCA risk schedule, and I haven't touched ADA since then. You can see that we are coming back down, back down to this level. So if we come back down, right, to the 10-cent level, it could present a timely opportunity, right? But for now, it seems like the wick, right, if you zoom in on ADA, came down to the 100-day moving average, which is just above 10 cents. And I mean, Ethereum against Bitcoin, right? I mean, that's just business as usual, of course. Nothing's really changed. The ratio is still pretty strong, given the macro scale, right? So, nothing's really changed there. Someone said, what moving average is that on the link chart? I'm not sure. It's just the 20-day, I guess. I'm not using it. It's just that the 20-day, the 50-day, the 200-day, or the 20, 50, 100, and 200, right? Let me show these. Yeah, so I mean, you can see them, right? Those are those, but I wasn't actually using it. Those are the ones that I have up on all of them. Someone said, would you say XRP and VeChain would be good long-term investments? Well, again, remember with XRP, it tends to be better when Bitcoin gets to its prior all-time high. So I'm not going to touch it before then, or at least until it's closer to its all-time high. I might try to front run it a little, but J-Man TV says price prediction for Ethereum 10 years from now. Well, if you go to the Ethereum chart, right, and let's go out 10 years. So we're looking at 2030. So generally speaking, right, and I think I should start with Bitcoin, right? We need to start with Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin will kind of help pave the way for understanding, right, what Ethereum might do. So for Bitcoin, and we also recognize that Ethereum is probably one market cycle behind Bitcoin in terms of volatility. So if the idea, right, we talk about lengthening cycles all the time, we recognize that the cycles are lengthening. I don't understand really why people think it's a 4-year cycle, so let's just move on, say it's lengthening cycles. So with that in mind, we assume Bitcoin's going to go to 20K by, in 14 to 16 to 18 months, somewhere around that time period. And then it goes parabolic, right, to maybe 150K, 140K, which would line up with the top of this regression band, right? So we extend these out. Now, if you do extend this out, the fair value of Ethereum, or of Bitcoin, I'm not really drawing this that well, but if you extend the regression line out, the fair value of Bitcoin in 2024 to 2025 will be around $40,000 to $50,000, the fair value. Meaning we would expect that if it does go to 100 to 200K, we would then retrace back down to like 40 to 50K and then continue on. Now, if lengthening cycle theory is true, which I strongly think it is, and 2023 is the peak of this market cycle, then the following peak, right? If we let's just propagate this some, right? And we'll measure it several different ways, because I know some of you think that I only measure it top to top, which is not true. So we'll first start bottom to bottom, 68 weeks, bottom to bottom, 165 weeks, again, bottom to bottom, 204 weeks. So then if we go bottom to bottom again, we're probably looking, I don't know for sure, right? But probably sometime, maybe 300 weeks or so, sometime in 2024, potentially. And I think that the halving, I'm sure many of you guys are screaming like, oh, what about the halving, something halving. Again, I think that the halving will help curb the effects of the bear market during the next cycle, rather than catalyze a new bull market. So then, you see the bottom to bottom there. Then from that point, right, if you extend it out even further, if we go out to say 2030, then bottom to bottom from say 2024 to to all the way out here would probably be 2031. Let me switch this over to a monthly time frame, so it goes out a bit more. Okay, so then if you're going all the way out to say 2030, I'm going to say probably sometime somewhere in this frame, seeing Bitcoin peak again in 2031 or 2032. So the general idea is peaks at between 100 to 200K in 2023, back down to 40 to 50K in 2024 to 2025, a very slow move up to the prior all-time high from 2026, 2027, 2028, maybe going parabolic in 2029, 2030, 2031, 2032 to the next all-time high, the next paradigm shift, right? Which will probably be maybe 500K, somewhere between 300 to 500K. And then we come back down, right? And we continue on, right? And then we have the next one, which would take us out further. So your question was, right, well, where would Ethereum be in this time frame? So if the idea that Ethereum is one market cycle behind Bitcoin, then we would expect that Ethereum, let's look at the monthly time frame. If we see the same volatility that Bitcoin saw, then we would expect Ethereum to reach, let's say by August of 2023, so August of 2023, I'm going to guess somewhere around 10K, maybe just shy of 10K, maybe somewhere in that region, okay? So if Ethereum comes back up, let's say it does something like this, and it comes back, it goes up into a bubble, it comes back down, and then maybe it does something like that, goes to 10K, everyone thinks it's going to 20K, it doesn't, it comes back down, maybe it holds support at around 2 to 3K in 2024, and then slowly works its way up. And the reason we're going from up to 10K is we're assuming that it's one market cycle behind Bitcoin, and Bitcoin went up 100x, right, in the last cycle. So if you look at Bitcoin, you go from the bottom to the top, you can see, right? I mean, it went from, let's just call it $200 because it was only a wick that took us to like 160. So $200 up to 20,000, 100x. So if Ethereum does the same thing, which it seems like there's a chance that it would, we're talking about a $10,000 Ether for a very short period of time. When I say $10,000 Ether, I mean it would probably only be 10,000 or around that, 10,000 plus or minus a couple K, what's a few K among friends, for a few days, and then it would come back down. So then that'll take us out till the bear market, through the bear market. And then maybe eventually we'll then repeat, right? And if Bitcoin does like say a 30x or a 40x this cycle, and then Ethereum is say 2K, right? 2 or 3K, and it does a 30 to 40x from there, then maybe we're looking at a $60,000 to $80,000 Ethereum in the year, 2032 or something. But again, there's a lot of ifs associated with that. I mean, a lot can change in crypto, right? I mean, Ethereum could be completely taken over by then, and it might not even. I mean, for all we know, by that point, Ethereum's just kind of doing its own thing way over here, right? There's this possibility, right, which is why we say hedge your bets. Don't just assume that it has to continue going up. And this is just a projection based on Bitcoin's own volatility. So looking at the volatility that Bitcoin has seen. And by the way, I mean, if Ethereum does reach that point in a decade where it's like 50K, I mean, it also means that Bitcoin is probably like 500K, right? Because looking at the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, if Bitcoin is say 500K and Ethereum is 50K, then we're looking at a ratio of 0.1, which would be up here, right? So if we look at the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio over the macro scale, so let's switch this to the monthly scale. I tend to think that the ratio would tend upwards, but not go too high. So maybe it comes up at some point, it comes back down. Maybe then it goes back up to a new all-time high at some point, right? But at some point, I think it's going to go back down. But I don't think it'll go back down to this level. I think it'll go back down to somewhere around 0.04, 0.05, right? So I mean, again, if Bitcoin does reach 500K or 400K in a decade, then for Ethereum if it has the valuation of 0.1 of that, well then it makes sense that it would be around 50K. Again, a lot of projection, a lot of ifs. But someone asked the question, so I thought I would answer. Let's see. Someone said, you still think Monero is set to break out against Bitcoin? Well, I mean, it's set to break out against Bitcoin as long as Bitcoin stays bullish, I would say. If Bitcoin moves bearish, if Bitcoin drops below the 20-week, then I would anticipate that Monero would probably drop against it, right? That's the argument. Because if Bitcoin's dropping below the 20-week, then most coins are dropping against Bitcoin. So here it is, right? I mean, here's the XMR. Let me switch it to the weekly. Here's the XMR Bitcoin, right? I mean, we're just talking about this being a potential accumulation range, right? Like we saw with ADA a while back. Just looking at this potential accumulation range, maybe we break out of it soon, maybe we don't. But I think eventually there's a good chance that we would. Someone said only need to close above 14K to confirm 4-year cycle. I don't really know where you're getting this. I mean, do you just assume that this first cycle doesn't count? Do you say that this is one cycle, this entire thing is one cycle? Where are you measuring it from? Because whether you measure it from bottom to bottom or peak to peak, right? Peak to peak, 915 days. This peak to this peak, 1,491 days. Right? Or if you measure it from bottom to peak, right? Let's measure it bottom to peak as well. So if you measure it bottom to peak, it's 304 days. This one is 731 days. This one is 1,035 days. So I think the people that think that 4-year cycle theory is true are just the people that need it to be true, right? They need it to be true because they want to be, they want to see $100,000 Bitcoin in 2021, and who doesn't, right? But speaking a little bit more pragmatically, I feel like all the data suggests the opposite of that idea, and that yeah, there's a tiny chance that we could peak in 2021, But to say something like all we need to do is close above 14K and 4-year cycle theory is true is just absurd to me. I mean, I honestly think that 4-year cycle theory is one of the most one of the biggest myths in crypto, right? Some people just started pushing it one day because they looked at one market cycle of Bitcoin and maybe looked at a few other cycles in other industries and said, oh, look, it looks like it's a 4-year cycle. But nothing about Bitcoin except for the last cycle is 4 years. There's nothing about it that's 4 years, or even a close to 4 years, right? Just because one cycle is 4 years doesn't mean every cycle is going to be 4 years. If the last cycle had been 5 years, do you just say, oh, it's a 5-year cycle? No, you have to look at all the data, and yeah, there's limited data points, but the limited data points suggest, whether you measure it bottom to bottom, top to top, or bottom to top, that we are experiencing lengthening cycles, and that it's going to take us several months, over a year probably, to get to a sustainable $20,000 Bitcoin. And anytime Bitcoin pumps, the 4-year cycle theorists like to come out and claim victory, and then I just have to say, as far as I'm concerned, Bitcoin was at 14K last year, and now we're at 11K. And we're still we're still pretty far away from 20K. And when I say we're far away from 20K, we're still pretty far away from a sustainable 20K, right? Forget about a bubble. Yeah, bubbles happen. We might go to 20K in the short term if a bubble happens, but we're going to probably come back down. We're probably not getting to 20K. And by the way, for us to I would say for 4-year cycle theory to even have a remote chance at being correct, Bitcoin needs to get to 20K within 5 months, and to a sustainable 20K within 5 months. So once we get to a sustainable 20K, you see it go above 20K, come back down to 20K, hold it as support, and then continue on up. Then we'll talk about 4-year cycles. But until then, what's the point? Because it seems to me that the path of least resistance, right, is to continue moving up and down around this and getting slowly, moving up to 20K over the next year, over the next 14 months, 16 months or so, right? I keep saying 14. So end of 2021, beginning of 2022. This is the general time frame, I think. They have not. You're saying they've 100% been filled historically. They haven't even been around that long. You can't even compare it to the last market cycle when we were this bullish. So it's not. We could fill it, right? We recognize that's a possibility. In fact, that's where the 20-week moving average is right now, which we know we need to hold as support at some point. Maybe we hit it, maybe we don't. But the point is why would you, are there people that are just completely sitting out of the market because they think we have to fill it? And then what if we don't? This is the thing. Someone said if US dollar strengthens, how do you think that will affect the Bitcoin price? Well, we talked about this, right, the other day. If you look at we measured the price of Bitcoin, right, against USD, and we measured it against the euro not too long ago. We've looked. If you look at the US dollar currency index and go down to say the daily time frame, you can see that we've started moving up recently, and this is probably one of the reasons why Bitcoin has been dropping, right? The US dollar, the valuation of the US dollar has been going up, and if the dollar's going up, and if say the price of Bitcoin or the demand of Bitcoin stays the same, then the number of US dollars that it takes to purchase a Bitcoin would go down. And this is why if you look at Bitcoin versus the euro, it was not as bullish as Bitcoin versus USD was. So if USD is going up considerably, right, in the short term, then it probably would not be great for Bitcoin. Is my guess, right? It's my guess. Yeah, and SaaS crypto makes a great point. Like, yeah, do you really think, like, in terms of like 4-year cycle, like, do you really think it's that simple, like, that everyone buys crypto, in 2012, 2016, and 2020, and then everyone sells it um, uh, in like say 2017, and then 2013, 2017, right, which is where people think the 4 years comes from, and then 2021, like, it's not. I don't think it's going to be that simple. Like, it's not how markets work, generally speaking. It's not just everyone buys it every, the correct 4-year time frame, and then you sell it 2 years later on that same 4-year time frame. So I mean, I hope I hope that elucidates my opinion on the 4-year cycle and how absurd that narrative has been, right? I mean, it's been an absurd narrative that people think is true, and then they think it's true because a few people promote it and say that, oh, look, our last cycle was 4 years, but I think it's short-sighted. What other questions do we have? So how Link is doing? Okay, Link's still at 14. Graydon says, what are your thoughts on Link? Has the overall pattern changed, or are we still due for a pullback? I mean, it's hard to say exactly what we are due for. I think it's more likely to pull back than it is to go back up. But again, when you look at bubbles, you really never know how high they can go, right? I mean, we could look back at this and if the price comes back down, we say, oh yeah, it was a clear bubble. But at the same time, maybe it does what it did earlier, right? It comes down here and then it continues to go up and then has a final bubble and then it comes back down. I don't know. I mean, I've sold a decent amount of Link already. I sold the last portion at around 1850 or so. I still do have some of my Link. I have about 1/3 of my former position. So if we do come back up, right, I'm just going to use that opportunity to probably take profits again. So. I have no opinions on that coin, Chris. Bill says 99% of crypto hype vaporware would not exist in 10 years. I completely agree, right? I would argue 99.9% of a lot of the projects that exist today will be but a distant memory in 10 years, right? Because it's just a lot of it is just a lot of projects are, I think, more closely related than a lot of people think, right? And also, I think a lot of people have this tendency to think like, oh, an ERC20, like it's shiny, let me go buy it. We could, it's not hard to make an ERC20, right? We could go make one in 5 minutes if we wanted to. A 7th grader could program an ERC20, but you put in a few buzzwords, right? You say DeFi, decentralized finance, you say smart contracts, or you can use it in such and such platform, and then people buy it, right? People will just kind of throw their money at you. So just be careful with these because the hype will die down as it always does. So just be careful because if Bitcoin corrects back down to say the 20-week, then a lot of these coins are going to wipe away a lot of the gains that they've seen. Yeah, someone says, I think decentralized DeFi is actually the real future. I mean, I think DeFi has a role to play, but there's a lot of DeFi projects that will not exist in the future. Yeah, I will buy back into Link at some point, but I'm not right now. With mass unemployment, will we still get a proper bull run? I mean, I think there's a good chance that we still experience a bull run at some point. I think that the bull run will likely peak in 2023, but I mean, it could be as late as 2024 for all we know, right? So I would say just be patient, right? I mean, I think it'll happen, but I don't think we're going to go parabolic this year in terms of going to say like 50K or something like, or even 20K. I think it's going to be later on. Yeah, I'm looking into some DeFi projects, of course. And the thing with bubbles, right? The thing with these bubbles that we say, if we project the peak to be 2023, well, what if it's not till 2024? And if it's not till 2024, this is why we say it's always good to take profits, right? Because if you see coins going up like 5x, 10x, and you have the chance to realize that type of gain. Of course, you don't have to sell all of it, but I mean, what if the next bubble is 3 years away, right? Or the next time things go parabolic is 3 years away? Like, do you really want to look back at 2020, like many of you guys did with 2019, and say, oh man, I wish I had sold some? Someone said, is staking impact technical analysis? I think, it can influence, people's willingness to sell it. But when something goes up 5 or 10x, I don't think it's going to keep them from selling. The only reason that would keep them from selling is if it's like locked in, right? If they've locked it in. But then if they do have to lock it in, they're less likely to lock it in, right? Because you want to make sure you have it on a quick notice, right? So that you can sell it, right? Is it worth turning like 6% a year if the coin is up 10x and you think it's about to dump 80%? No. So this is what I think. Tesla, yeah, being at 2K, I do think I think it's fairly overvalued right now. I think the stock market is. I was actually just talking about it on the premium list earlier. It's getting pretty heated right now, which reminds me, if you guys do want to check out the premium list, you can do so at intothecryptoverse.com. Might as well go ahead and say it now. So check it out. I'll put it in the chat. So if you want access to the premium list, check it out. You get access to a weekly report, a weekly premium video, a alerts channel, right? A Telegram alerts channel, a private Telegram chat room, a risk dashboard, which is what I use to trade, and a strategies dashboard, which will help you look at different strategies to dynamically DCA out of the market. So a lot of things, the prices are going to be going up on September 28th. So I've been saying the prices are going up for a long time. They're going to go up September 28th. So if you want to get grandfathered in at the lower price, make sure you check it out before then. This is what I use to support the channel. As you guys know, I don't run ads on the channel. I do no paid promotions on the channel. So this is what I use. So I hope you guys can at least tolerate the own ads that I put in there. And of course, you can pay with crypto to get a discount up to 15%. So check it out, and we'll continue talking about crypto here. Remember, if you guys have questions, you can also join the Telegram chat, and I'll go ahead and put that in the chat as well. So join the Telegram chat if you're looking for a community to be a part of. Yeah, so someone said, like, what do you think about gold, silver? We've talked about these. I think silver and gold are pretty bullish over the next, say, 5 years. Sorry, gold, Bitcoin, gold, silver. Let's look at the gold, silver ratio. So again, we've talked about the gold, silver ratio a few times, looking at overvaluation, undervaluation, gross undervaluation, gross overvaluation, right? And expecting that it's probably going to come back down to this level over the next several years. I also could see gold going up to 5 or 6K over the next 5 years. I know that seems kind of preposterous, but it's just looking at past trends. We do have a gold playlist on the channel, or a precious metals playlist on the channel, so check it out if you haven't seen it. Someone says, how much is the lifetime premium? So that is a good question. We don't actually have it officially advertised yet, but some people were asking about a lifetime membership to the premium list. If you want a lifetime membership, just send me an email or message me on Telegram, and I'll talk to you about it. But we will be rolling that out in a few months. Someone says best way to buy Miles. You can do monthly, or you can do like 6 or 12 months, or you can, if you want to do lifetime, just reach out to me. Best way to buy gold and silver, physical or ETF. So my opinion on it is, it's not financial advice, of course. My opinion on it, and I know that if you're really into precious metals, you're going to definitely disagree with what I'm about to say. Because one of the things with ETFs, right, is they don't necessarily exactly track the actual price of the precious metal, so you have to be careful. Like, are people actually holding the actual metal? What is it exactly tracking? But if you can find a good one, as long as, in my opinion, right, this is my opinion, take it for what you wish. If it's less than 100K, I feel like for me an ETF is fine. If it's more than 100K, for me, I would want to own the metal, right? That's my opinion. Less than 100K ETF, more than 100K, I would want to own it. Yeah, you guys can get, SAS, you can get a lifetime membership if you guys want. Just message me and I'll talk to you guys about it. I'm not rolling out the lifetime membership now. I'll probably be rolling out maybe the end of the year or something. But if you want to get in early, a couple people have already signed up for the lifetime membership, actually. And that's just because some people just want to pay for it and then basically just enjoy the content for a lifetime, right, and not have to continue worrying about paying anymore, which I can understand. So if you want access to it, just send me a message on Telegram or email and just talk about the lifetime, and I'll talk to you about it. Someone said, is ADA a buy at these prices if you don't have a position? It's really up to what your own risk tolerance is, of course. As we've showed before, the ADA Ethereum ratio. So let's look at the ADA Ethereum ratio. Because when I sold my ADA, I sold it to Ethereum. So if you look at the macro ADA Ether chart, right, and you can see we had a lot of bottoms around this region, right? You see a lot of bottoms that happened around that region before moving back up, right? We've also seen kind of some local tops in that region. But the thing is now we're back in that region. So my opinion on it, right, is for me, I already own a lot of ADA, right? I own a lot of ADA already. Therefore, I would like to see it come down a little bit more because I already own some, right? But if you don't own any and you wanted to get exposure to it, right? And this is not financial advice, of course, but you could always DCA, right? You could buy a little bit, and if it drops down, maybe you just buy a little bit more. If it drops down, maybe you buy a lot more, right? This would be the idea. And then it also means that if you buy it here and then it immediately goes up, well, at least you got some, right? I can't say what way it's going to go. I just recognize that I already own a lot, and I'm not interested in buying any more at the present time. If we come down here, I would certainly buy more, though. Someone said, are you going to make videos after this cycle? Yeah, I will. If you guys notice, whenever crypto cools down a little bit, I tend to show some other things. Like we talk about Tesla, we talk about the S&P 500, we talk about precious metals, we talked about oil, so we talk about commodities. It's just that when crypto is heating up, this is what I want to focus on, right? We always say thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. The main focus of the channel right now is the cryptoverse, right? But the reason is because it's an opportune time to be in crypto over the macro scale, right? I believe that the returns that we're going to see from crypto from purchasing in 2019, 2020, and maybe halfway through 2021 will exceed that in most other markets, right? Because I think it's going to exceed that in most other markets. This is what I want to focus on. I fully intend on converting a lot of my crypto to, to stocks, to mutual funds, to real estate, right? Whenever the peak comes, like if we come back up to this peak, to this regression band up here, wherever we come to it, I'm selling a lot of my crypto, and on the way up, I would sell it, and I'm converting it to other assets. And I really don't care if it goes a little bit higher or not. I'm going to be mostly out of the market because I think it would come back down at some point. So it's all about managing your risk. I would rather just, take the profit and run rather than risk seeing it dump 70% before you have a chance to take to sell it. Yeah, we're gonna cover stocks, of course. I've been meaning to cover more stocks, but it's just hard to cover them when crypto is so hot. So yeah, we have covered some stocks on the premium list. We've talked a little bit. We did a modern portfolio video on things like Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, that kind of thing, Google, Amazon. We did look at that. So just keep that in mind that we have looked at that before, but I just haven't had many dedicated videos to stocks, right? We've looked at Tesla, right? But that's mostly it. Someone said, what about Tezos? I think Tezos is down a lot recently. So from the candle, it's down 20%. So pretty much on par with a lot of the other ones like ADA, Link, I guess. So yeah. Tezos is one of those ones that I think will have a good market cycle, assuming Bitcoin does well. So yeah, we've talked about it. We have a couple of dedicated videos for Tezos, XTZ. But yeah, I agree. It has been weak lately. Sass says he works at Amazon. Watch yourself. I own Amazon, so I own some Amazon. What other questions do we have? I'm not sure what you mean. Can we show the 20-week MA on the other time frames? If we show it on other time frames, it becomes a 20-day time frame or something else. We've looked at Ethereum, Bitcoin. We actually went into it a lot earlier, but here it is in case you missed it. So yeah, business as usual. One of the things we spoke about, I was going to make a dedicated video on this soon, but if you're looking at Ethereum, Bitcoin, one of the things we spoke about a lot, right, is the 20-month moving average. We said, okay, and you guys remember this if you were following it during the bear market. We said, all right, we noticed it pumped there, it held support there, it held support there, and then when it came below it, we were below it a long time, and then if you zoom in, wick held the resistance, wick at the resistance, wick at the resistance, wick at the resistance, wick at the resistance, 5 times in a row. We said once we break it, we're off to the races, and we broke it, and here we are. So I think the monthly candles tell a pretty nice story. So I think as long as we continue this general trend, it's just business as usual, right? We're going to go up, we're going to go down, but we're probably going to mostly go up. Someone said, just joined this chat. Have you looked at XRP yet? Is it worth acquiring in a portfolio? I guess I haven't showed XRP in this video, so begrudgingly I will show it. As we've said many times, I think that XRP is one of those ones that you would probably want to wait until until Bitcoin gets closer to its prior all-time high, rather than trying to front run it too much, anyways. Because if you look at the macro trend, right? This is XRP Bitcoin. We tend to come all the way down here, right, where the valuation is closer to 10 to the -5, right, against Bitcoin. So what I'm looking for, right, is there tends to be a capitulation of XRP against Bitcoin when Bitcoin makes the move to the prior all-time high. So you can see back in early 2016, coins like Ethereum went up like 1,700%. XRP went up a small percentage, right? People were super bullish. It went up 100% against Bitcoin, but then it bled, right? It bled down 80% against Bitcoin from that move. And you could maybe speculate that that is the move we just saw, right? Approximately 100 days after Bitcoin was above 100, the 20-week, XRP this time went up around 45% or so against Bitcoin. But I still think that the macro trend is likely down until Bitcoin gets to its prior all-time high. This is my opinion. I reserve the right to be wrong. For all we know, XRP could pump tomorrow, but it's too risky for my taste. And so if you hold it and it works out well for you in the short term, congratulations. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But if you see it continue to dump against Bitcoin over the next, say, 16 months, then I might consider it, and not a moment before. Righteous action. We already looked at the dot chart. Yeah, we said we're going to follow this market cycle. This is our macroscopic view, the 1 hour chart. So yeah, I mean, there's going to be volatility to the upside and the downside. So a lot of volatility. I think we are going to cover it this market cycle. So if you're wondering, is Ben going to cover it? On the premium list about a week or two ago, we said, okay, we're going to cover dot this market cycle. Just wanted to give them a heads up before I talked about it on the channel. And so we are going to be following it. It's just that there's not a lot of data to inform any decisions right now. Matt says short-term bubble price for Ethereum if Bitcoin hits bubble to 20K in 2020. If Bitcoin goes to 20K in 2020, like a bubble to 20K, then I would assume that Ethereum is probably getting to around 4 figures, probably around $1,000. J-Man says, did you get any gains last bubble? Yes, I did. I got wrecked in the 2013 bubble, but I learned my lesson and made sure it worked out well in the next bubble. And then I'm trying to help you guys make sure that it works out for you in this bubble. Remember, if you guys are super interested in micro caps, we do have a dedicated Telegram channel for it. So I'm going to put that Telegram channel in the comment or in the description or the comment section there as well. So check out that Telegram channel. That is for micro cap discussion. Yeah, I mean, I know 2 Negative says if you put, yeah, I mean, we could put 140 days on the daily time frame. I just don't think it's really that important. I mean, it's just going to show you higher resolution, right? Like that's all it's going to show you. I just think that the weekly candles are what you want to look at, not the daily, potential daily wicks where it comes down. Thanks for joining the premium list last week, Jeff. we did already speak about Link a lot, so maybe just rewind the video a little bit. What other questions do we have? I'm going to scroll up and see if I missed any that I want to answer. Someone said, how many coins would you say you personally done a deep technical dive on? Probably about 15. Probably about 15 or so, where I would say it was where I spent a few hours on them. I can't really say for sure how AMD and NVIDIA are going to do. I actually do own some, but I don't really know how they're going to do in the short term for stocks. I mean, the stock market is pretty, it's really heating up right now in terms of the risk on it. So I would say a small market cap coin would be under 100 million. Under 1 billion, I would say medium size coin. Someone says, if you had a spare 10K, which crypto would you buy? I would probably diversify, right? Probably just diversify. The all or nothing approach, I feel like, is a really bad approach. I mean, it works out sometimes, yes, but it's like, would you rather have like a, I mean, the question is like, would you rather have like a 50% chance of seeing a 10x or a 10% chance of seeing a 30x? Like, I'm more risk averse, right? I'd rather just consistently see the lower multiples rather than go all in on a single coin and hope for a much larger gain, because a lot of times they just go to zero or they don't move. Rudy says, is there a chart of Bitcoin against the S&P? Actually, if you go to my YouTube channel, we actually did a video of Bitcoin against gold, against the S&P 500, and I think against Ethereum. So go check that out. It's like it says like Bitcoin 4D or something, because it's like a 4D chart. And you might wonder what's a 4D chart. It was the x-axis was like, you know, time. And then we had like Bitcoin, gold, maybe the S&P 500, and then we had it color coded by another metric. Someone says, if Bitcoin is 40K this market cycle, do you believe the 20-week moving average will be near 20K? I mean, yeah. I mean, the 20-week moving average is just the moving average of 20 weeks. So if we go up to 40K and then sustain it for a while, then yeah, the 20-week will be, of course, at 20K. Tony says, how would you define the difference between your statistical analysis approach to crypto and the more traditional technical analysis strategies? I would say that a lot of traditional technical analysis strategies are not true. I think that people see what they want to see. You draw a few patterns, you think it works out because it worked out one time, but we could go back and look at many times where another pattern of the same sort was setting up and it didn't work out. Again, it's not a crack at people who use traditional TA, and I mean, again, sometimes I use it, right? I mean, sometimes I draw lines in a chart, or I look at, you know, things like that. But I just think that for the most part, they're not that valuable. And again, there's some people out there who can make a good living doing it and make a lot of money doing it, and they're just really good at what they do. But for me, I think that what I do is more so data science, right? Instead of looking at technical analysis, right, where we say, oh, it's like a head and shoulders, or we're looking at Fibonacci retracements, we just look at data science and see, okay, well, what is, if we look back at historical moves, if we look at the volatility of these coins, try to fit it to non-bubble data, look at risk levels based on time, price, and volatility. What do we get? That's what I like to use. I just don't think that many short-term TA things are valuable. Again, as I've said before, I think the price of Bitcoin is more or less a random walk in the short term, like geometric Brownian motion. But over the long term, it is more predictable. But in the short term, it's just a random walk. And any person trying to predict it, if you go find your favorite crypto Twitter person or crypto YouTube person that does short-term TA, and you go back to their older stuff, if they haven't deleted it, of course, you'll find plenty of times where they made predictions for on the 4-hour time frame, on the 1 hour, on the 1 day time frame, and we're completely wrong, right? And I just think that looking at short-term predictions like on an hourly time frame are just absurd for Bitcoin especially. So this is my opinion. I know that a lot of you guys would disagree with it, but it's my channel, so it's my opinion. Someone says traditional TA only works because a lot of people use it. I would argue that a lot of times it doesn't work, right? I mean, I feel like if a lot of times it worked, then most people wouldn't lose money day trading, right? And maybe your argument is, well, the people that are losing money just don't know how to use it accurately. But I mean, there's some clear things that I feel like would be fairly obvious if you just regimentally said, okay, if such and such pattern occurs, if we have to go back to this level, then if it were really that easy, then I mean, let's be honest. If it were really that easy, would you guys be watching my channel, right? If you could be watching the Bitcoin chart right now and looking at traditional short-term TA to turn a 5 to 10% profit, like why the hell would you be watching me looking at weekly and monthly time frames? I mean, this would be my question to you. Someone said, "Are you stacking ADA?" I was buying it up to 10 cents. I haven't bought it anytime recently, but we followed it on the channel for a while. There's not a real. Rudy says, "Is there a data science course you would recommend?" I mean, there's one on. I think there's one on Coursera that's pretty good. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but if you just Google it, I think you can find it. It goes through different types of learning. By the way, it is free. The course, I'm pretty sure it's free. I could be wrong about that. I'm pretty sure it's free, and it goes through different types of like machine learning, all that kind of stuff. A lot of TA is not data science. A lot of TA is not even close. Bloodsville says, just to have another perspective. Okay, I'll stop watching you then. All right, buddy, that's fine. What other questions do we have? Let's look at the charts. Ethereum's back to 387. Remember what we said about Ethereum. If Bitcoin kind of holds this level at 11.3, 11.4, same business as usual that we saw at 11.7. If it holds it, Ethereum's probably going to move back above $400, and the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio will continue moving up. Okay. I have no idea about the 4-hour candle close. I don't know what it'll be. Long-haired. God, I didn't say the whole name. What percentage of your Bitcoin will you hold no matter what? I just dynamically DCA sell. So at the top, when we get to the risk level, right, if you want to check it out, check out the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com. Once we get to that risk band, I'm just going to sell all of it, call it a day. Wish you guys the best on your mission, but it'll be a day. It'll be calling it a day for me in terms of crypto, and I'll step out for a bit. Navanithin, can't even pronounce the name, says, hey Benjamin, thanks for your videos, one of my favorite on YouTube, happy you like it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the profits from crypto will probably be going into stocks and real estate. I mean, this would be and I'm hoping that, I'm personally hoping that the real estate market comes down, right? So that we can timely convert crypto gains into real estate gains, basically go scoop up a lot of cheap real estate at a very opportune time, right before the market crashes in a few years, right? Or right before the crypto markets crash. So hopefully the real estate bubble goes down. That's my hope. Hopefully interest rates stay low, and hopefully crypto goes up, and then we have this opportune time. Someone says, when would I pull out on the all-time high for Bitcoin? It depends on how quickly we get there, right? If we peak in 2022, I think that the peak would be lower than if we peak in 2023, which would probably be lower than if we peak in 2024. So just a matter of how long it takes to get there. I mean, I don't think the stock market necessarily has to crash before the end of the year. I mean, you might see a pullback, you might see a correction, right? But again, the stock market has shown everyone that it really doesn't matter. I mean, the economy, the economy can do whatever it wants. The stock market's has a mind of its own, right? It can stay irrational longer than you can stay liquid. So just don't get too fancy with the stock market. We will be doing silver stuff on the premium channel soon. I keep meaning to, but then crypto keeps staying so interesting, so that's the focus right now. Someone says, will you return to crypto when the next bear market begins, or are you done for good? I'll return, right? I mean, we'll want to take advantage of key opportunities. Even in the bear market, there's a few key opportunities, right, that we might want to take advantage of. But this would be coming from the point of, okay, we've taken our profits out of the crypto market. Let's be careful on how we re-enter it, right? The guy says, do you think there will be a point where Fourier halving and lengthening cycles intersect into consistent, albeit diminished gains? Guess combining Fourier cycle, law of diminishing returns. I don't think that Fourier cycles are going to be a thing for Bitcoin. I really don't. I think it's just lengthening cycles and diminishing returns. Someone says, will you address the real estate market on your channel if it dips and there's opportunity there? I probably will, but it's hard to talk about it too much, right? Because it really depends on where you live. So I'm sure I'll talk about it at some point. But right now, my focus is to make a lot of money with crypto. So this is my focus right now. Someone says, will Bitcoin ever hit 5K again? I doubt it. But I mean, again, in March, I probably wouldn't have thought that it would have gone to 3,800. So it's hard to really say. I doubt it'll go to 5K again. Remember, the 200-week moving average is currently at 6,500 or so. So this would be kind of like a theoretical bottom. If we go down to the wick like we did last time, we might go to the 300-week, which is currently at 44.76. So it is possible, I guess, if we wick back down to the 300-week moving average, but I just don't think it's super likely. Can we get some likes? We only have 100 likes. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, please. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. We did talk about DATA already. We're going to follow it this market cycle, of course. We mentioned it a couple weeks ago, or a week ago on the premium list, so that would be one I was following on this market cycle. But it's really new to make any useful analysis, in my opinion, about the price. Right? It's too new to say too much. I'm not going to talk about politics, guys. I know you guys keep asking that, but I'm not talking about politics on the channel. Tony says, do you think crypto has the potential to replace fiat currencies? I think that, stable coins, I don't think that like Bitcoin will replace it, right? I don't think that peer-to-peer currencies that are not stable will replace it. I think stable coins may replace it, and if they do, they might be stable coins that don't even exist yet, right? In the long term. So. I'm not going to tell you the most contentious political view I hold. Derek McCoy says, why don't you lend more credibility to CME gap prices, considering they fill over 90% of the time? According to some sources, seems like you might work this idea into a database model. Well, they didn't really exist last cycle when we were in this phase, so I don't really think there's enough data to say that it will fill, right? I mean, if they all fill this cycle, then we can say next cycle, okay, they're likely to fill, but I don't think there's enough data yet. Do you think Bitcoin will lose its popularity over time as more mainstream buyers enter the market? I don't think so. I think Bitcoin is here to stay for a long time. We'll see how Ethereum's doing. Okay, back to 385. Easy come, easy go, as they say. Patrick says, why would people trust a Fed coin over government fiat? I mean, why do people trust anything, right? I mean, people are people. People have decisions, right? I mean, I think the one thing that one of the quotes that I like is that like individual people, like individual persons are smart, but people are stupid, right, in groups. I kind of hold this view. Thoughts on Ethereum 2.0 and its effect on short-term price movements? I mean, it's going to cause volatility for Ethereum for sure, right? And on the anticipation of it, I'm sure it'll cause, or I would assume it would cause prices to go up. Marty says, "How did you end up studying data science?" Well, I did my undergrad in mathematics, my master's in nuclear engineering, and my PhD in nuclear engineering. So I guess I just picked it up along the way. Do you believe that Bitcoin options expiration date this Friday will cause more bulls for Bitcoin? I don't really have an opinion on it. I don't think it makes a huge difference. Someone says you invested in fusion energy, the future. The funny thing about fusion, right, is in the nuclear engineering community, the joke is that fusion is always 20 years away, because it's always been this thing that's like, it's not right around the corner, but it's like 20 years away. But it's been 20 years away since, like, the 1950s. Any more questions? Someone says, Sherry Simpson says, how often do you do live videos, and if scheduled, what time? I would say I tend to do them once or twice a week. Generally, there's one on the weekend, sometimes a couple on the weekend, but they're not, I don't think they're really scheduled. Like, I just do them when I can. I think a lot of times they tend to be in the evenings. Like, so if you're, like right now it's on the East Coast of the United States, it's 12:40, so maybe they tend to start at around 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But again, sometimes I do them in the middle of the day, so. Jonathan says there's speculation circling that coin owners in Korea are going to be taxed from end of 2020. I'm not really sure what you mean. We already talked about the CME gap. I don't think it has to fill, but the 20 week moving average is currently at 96.49. So if we dump to the 20 week in the short term, it would fill the gap, or if we dump to the 20 week and then have a wick down to the gap, if it happens in a week or two when the 20 week is over 10K, this is certainly a possibility. I don't think it needs to fill, but it might fill. Jeff says, can you do a video on how to use the premium channel and how to utilize the info on the website for the layman? Jeff, we do have like 15 premium videos, so check out the welcome email. You should see the welcome email. It has all the videos that you need to understand the premium stuff. Danford Kim says, if you would please, I know this may not be your area of expertise, but thoughts on crypto interest-bearing accounts for a long-term hodl strategy. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to like stake your coins or lend out your coins, I think it's okay. But if it's DeFi, remember there are risks associated with that in terms of like the vulnerabilities in the smart contract. They haven't really been fully battle tested, right? So just take that into consideration. In terms of staking, I think if your goal is to just hold long term, then there's nothing wrong, right, with staking and earning more crypto, right? Because then when you do go to sell, you have more crypto to sell. I mean, if your goal is just to say, get some coins that you can stake and then just stake them for 3 years, and just go ahead and do it, right? I think this strategy's fine. Vittorio says that this cycle will be 6 to 7 years. How long will the next one be? I would say probably around, well, if this cycle, it depends on how you're measuring the cycle. If you're measuring it from, say, the last peak to the next peak, then it's probably going to be 6 years. So then if you measure from that peak to the next one, I would probably guess like 8 or 9 years. So 2031, 2032. Someone says, how do you cancel your subscription? You can just message me. Or just random, just send me an email. That would be the best way, I think. Just send me an email. Where do you see crypto in 2030? Bitcoin will probably be over 100K, back over 100K by 2030. Probably over 100K in 2023 if I had to guess. Back below it for several years. Probably back above it by 2030, maybe heading to 300 to 500,000. All right, guys. I think we'll wrap it up. Remember, if you guys want access to the premium list, check it out at intothecryptoverse.com. You'll get access to a weekly premium report, a weekly premium video, a Telegram alerts channel, a Telegram chat room, a risk dashboard, and a strategies dashboard. So check it out. The prices will be going up on September 28th. So if you want to be grandfathered in, make sure you sign up before that. And also do check out the crypto payment option for 6 or 12 months if you want to get a discount. And remember, if you have questions about it, you can always check out the Telegram channel. I'll go ahead and put that in the chat as well. So I just wanted to add that. Let's check out. Yeah, okay, so nothing's really changed. Let me know if you guys have any more questions. You can always message me on Telegram or send me an email. That'll wrap it up for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, I know I didn't get to all the questions, but hopefully we got to most of them. Business as usual for Bitcoin, right? Keep an eye out for a potential, reaccumulation range, right? Like we've talked about before. This is the main thing. We're potentially in this reaccumulation range, like right we were, as we were for many months over here. Maybe we're just in a reaccumulation range, but again, be prepared. The 20 week can come quickly, right? And looking on the weekly time frame, the 20 week is currently at around 9,600. So be prepared for the 20 week if it happens. We know that if the 20 week does come, then the markets will likely not do so well. Like Ethereum and altcoins will probably not do so well. So that'll wrap it up. Make sure you subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already and you want to see future videos. Give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.